welcome to the Deep Dive.
Great to be diving in.
So you've brought together some really fascinating stuff for us today. We're looking at personal reflections, some Seth Godin business strategy, daily Stoic wisdom.
Motivational quotes, yeah, and even some philosophical bits, a real mix.
It is, and our mission really is to sort of sift through all this, cut through the noise, and find those connections, right? What are the common threads about, say, making good decisions, personal growth?
And just understanding the forces shaping things around you.
Exactly. And I get the sense we might see some surprising links between ancient thought and, well, very modern thinkers.
Oh, absolutely. It's quite striking, actually, how these core truths just keep popping up, no matter the context, when you look at them side by side.
A bigger picture starts to emerge for you.
Precisely. A more connected understanding.
Okay, so let's get into it. Where should we start? Maybe with something foundational, like our own minds.
Sounds like a good place. There's this idea that resonates strongly. A quiet mind is able to hear intuition over fear.
Simple, but powerful. And it makes me think of that Paulo Coelho quote you flagged.
Ah, yes. When you say yes to others, make sure you are not saying no to yourself.
Right, so there's this tension, isn't there, between our inner state and what we agree to externally.
There absolutely is. Coelho's point is so critical for, setting boundaries, knowing your priorities. But how do you know them?
That's the question.
And that's where the quiet mind comes back in. It's not just about silence. It's about creating that mental space.
Yes, for what? Intuition?
Yeah, space for intuition, those deeper insights, to actually surface instead of being drowned out by anxiety or what everyone else wants, like stilling the water in a lake.
Yeah, so you can see the bottom. Yeah, I like that.
Exactly. Seeing what's really there.
So cutting through the internal worry chatter and the external demands to find what truly aligns with, well, you. Your authentic self.
Spot on. And that clarity is crucial when we start thinking about those external pressures, which brings us neatly to the next big theme, systems.
Seth Godin territory.
Yeah.
He gives us this really practical framework for understanding systems, doesn't he?
He does. It's incredibly useful. He talks about boundaries, benefits, bystanders.
Information flows, stability, protocols, roles.
Resilience, feedback loops, convenience, efficiency, and importantly, side effects. All the components.
And his examples are great because they're so varied. Big-time college sports.
Starbucks.
Your local volunteer fire department.
Yeah.
Even, like, the dating scene in Boise, Idaho.
Right. It shows systems are everywhere. And the critical thing for you, the listener, to grasp is how these systems subtly guide our decisions.
Guide them how? Through expectations.
Expectations, yeah. Feedback loops. Think about online reviews, how they cycle.
Okay.
Both visible and invisible rules. They create currents that pull us along.
This is where it gets really interesting for me. Godin basically says our choices, even the ones we feel are totally personal.
Often are entirely personal.
Right. They're shaped by the system's rules, its rewards, its nudges.
Precisely. Which loops us straight back to needing that quiet mind.
Ah, okay. To tell the difference.
Exactly. To distinguish, is this me wanting this, or is the system nudging me this way? Am I taking this project because it's truly right for me, or just because it's, the path of least resistance in this particular system?
Makes sense. So understanding the system gives you, what, more agency?
It empowers you, yeah. Gives you more conscious control. You can start to see the mechanics behind your impulses or choices.
And ask, does this choice actually serve my goals, my values? Or am I just
going with the flow, perpetuating the system's patterns? It lets you navigate intentionally, not just drift.
Okay, let's shift gears slightly. What about achieving? Well, real excellence. We have that Bruce Lee quote.
Oh, the successful warrior one. Yeah.
See.
The successful warrior is the average man with laser-like focus.
Powerful. It's all about the focus.
It is, and it connects so well with the Daily Stoic piece, which talks about true beauty.
Not superficial looks, but inner character.
Exactly. They highlight virtues like justice, an even temper, self-control. These are the markers of real excellence.
And crucially, it's not just about having talent, right?
Not at all. It's about cultivating these qualities deliberately. Think about developing self-control that takes intense focus in the moment, doesn't it? A laser-like focus on your values.
Yeah, it really does. So Lee's focus isn't just for, say, martial arts or external goals.
No, it applies inwardly too. Directing that mental energy to build the strengths the Stoics prized. Honing your character, fairness, stability.
It's conscious work. Sustained effort, not just innate.
And that's such a key insight for you. Both Lee and the Stoics are saying mastery, internal or external, comes from dedication, concentration. Intentional practice beats raw talent alone.
That focus on intentionality. It connects to another piece of that proverb, one of these days is none of these days.
Oof. Yeah, that's a sharp reminder about procrastination.
It is. And it leads right into that question someone posed. Are you inventing things to do to avoid the important work?
That hits home, doesn't it? We can get so busy.
Totally. Busy doing things that feel productive.
But don't actually move the needle on the big stuff. It could be fear of the challenging task, maybe fear of failure.
Or, and this connects back, maybe the system encourages busy work.
That's a really interesting point. How might systems do that?
Well, maybe the rewards, the metrics. They value visible activity over, say, deep thinking or long-term impact. Completing lots of small tasks looks good, even if they're not the right tasks.
That's a subtle but potentially powerful dynamic for you to watch out for. If you understand the incentives in your system, you might spot if you're caught in that unproductive busyness trap.
Which again highlights the need for that inner clarity.
To make sure you're focusing your finite energy on what truly matters, not just what keeps you occupied or looks good superficially.
Okay, so we need focus, we need awareness of systems, we need to beat procrastination. But how do we actually do it? How do we make these ideas practical? Jose Mourinho had a point about this.
The football manager. Yeah, his quote was about training, right? Training is worth it only when it lets you make your ideas and principles operational.
Operational, meaning putting them into action.
Exactly. Making them work in the real world. Knowing isn't enough. You have to apply it.
And that feels very stoic, too.
Absolutely. It's the core of Stoicism, really. Don't just talk about justice or self-control. Be just. Exercise self-control. Embody the ideals.
They gave that very practical advice.
Yeah.
Be without prejudice, act with justice, and keep an even keel.
Right. That's not just a nice thought. It's a direct instruction. A principle to operationalize in your daily life, in your interactions, your decisions.
It takes constant effort, though.
Practice.
Conscious effort, ongoing practice, turning abstract ideals into concrete behaviors, choosing your responses, aligning actions with values. That's the work.
So let's widen the lens again. What are we aiming for ultimately? Joe Mansueto offered a different take on wealth.
Yeah, that was quite profound. Being wealthy is about being productive, giving to others, serving society, and creating a legacy. It's much bigger than just money, isn't it?
Richer, yeah. It shifts the whole focus from material accumulation to, well, impact and contribution.
How we affect the world, what we give back.
And that resonates strongly with the Stoic idea of fulfillment coming through virtue and serving the community.
Like their concept of inner beauty again.
Exactly. True wealth, in this view, isn't what you have, it's what you do, what you contribute, the positive mark you leave. It's about purpose beyond just yourself.
Purpose and connection.
It really highlights that interconnectedness, suggesting true satisfaction comes from engaging with the world in a way that benefits others.
Okay, before we try and tie all these threads together, there's one more thing that jumped out. Just a single word.
Which one?
Love.
Ah, yes. Powerful word. Maybe surprisingly central.
How so? Where does it fit?
Well, think about the motivation behind all this. Why strive for self-improvement? Why act justly? Why contribute? Create a legacy? Isn't there often a deep sense of care, empathy, connection, love, essentially, driving it? That desire to connect, to help, to make things better.
So like an underlying energy.
Perhaps. A fundamental human drive that pushes us towards growth and contribution, beyond just pure self-interest. It's a thought, anyway.
It is. So let's try and synthesize. Taking all these pieces, the inner clarity, the systems, the focus, the action, the value, what's the overall path you see emerging for the listener?
What's amazing is how they really do weave together. It looks something like this. Start by cultivating that inner quiet, that clarity. Use it to understand yourself and the systems you're navigating.
Okay. Know thyself, know thy environment.
Right. Then, with that clarity, channel your energy. Use that laser-like focus to build genuine excellence, both inner and outer, and to take purposeful action.
Avoiding the procrastination traps.
Definitely. And consciously operationalize your principles, justice, fairness, self-control in your daily life.
Make them real.
Make them real. And redefine your goals around a broader sense of wealth contribution, service, legacy.
Impact over just accumulation.
Exactly. And perhaps underpinning it all, as we just touched on, is that fundamental sense of care, of connection.
Yeah.
Love. It fuels the whole journey.
It's quite a cohesive picture, actually. especially considering the sources are so diverse. Ancient philosophers, modern business thinkers, athletes.
It really is remarkable. It suggests these truths about living well are pretty universal, pretty timeless. They hold up.
Yeah, the consistency is striking.
It underscores how relevant these principles still are for navigating life today.
So our mission was to find those connections, and I think we've definitely uncovered some deep ones. Inner clarity feeding into navigating systems,
Focused effort building excellence,
principles guiding action, and a wider view of value and contribution.
all potentially driven by that core human element.
Right. Now, for you listening,
Right.
maybe take a moment to reflect on all this.
Right.
Think about these interconnected ideas. The quiet mind, the systems around you, focused action, practical principles, that broader definition of value.
Which of these themes hits home for you right now? Which one feels most relevant?
And maybe ask yourself why. Where could applying one of these insights make the biggest difference in your life today?
Hopefully this deep dive has given you some useful shortcuts, some practical wisdom to think about and maybe even act on.